In ancient times, humans ate food to survive. They hunted and ate whatever they could find just to survive. Today, the food we eat is tasty and delicious, or so it seems. But that's not always the case. In this video, we will see how the food we eat is killing us. We will also see how physical inactivity contributes to our demise. To begin with, the ultra-processed food, the new tobacco. Ultra-processed foods are foods that have undergone multiple processes. They are often ready to eat and convenient, but they may not be as healthy as whole foods. Burgers, chips, chocolate, drinks, baked foods, protein bars, and even yogurt are all considered ultra-processed foods. They are low in nutrients and can contribute to weight gain and other health problems. According to the World Health Organization, ultra-processed food linked to 32 diseases, including respiratory, cardiovascular, and gastrointestinal diseases. A recent study found that obesity increased by 66%, cardiovascular disease increased by 50%, and mental disorders increased by 53%. It also increases the risk of developing type 2 diabetes, which is a condition that causes high blood sugar levels and linked with asthma and cancer. The United States and the United Kingdom are the two countries with the most consumers. France and Sweden are next, followed by India, which ranks 13th. Young people and people living in poverty consume 80% of ultra-processed foods. Endocrine-disrupting chemicals in ultra-processed foods create artificial hormones that destroy natural hormones. This can reduce fertility rates among women and reduce sperm counts in men. According to the Indian Council of Medical Research, 56% of diseases are linked to poor diet. This picture shows the proper diet that should be followed according to the Indian Medical Council's research. In the ICMR, it is important to note that protein supplements should be avoided and sugar consumption should be kept to a minimum. A can of Coke contains 32 grams of sugar, which is equal to the amount of caffeine in a cup of coffee. Caffeine is a diuretic, which converts all the water in our body into urine, and the sugar absorb the water from the cells and make us to dehydrate. Therefore, the thirst we quenched is more likely to be an illusion. It's just sweet carbonated water. Reading information on the label to make the good food choice. But sometimes the label are under the scanner. MDH and Everest are two popular spice brands in India. However, they are banned in Hong Kong and Singapore because they contain pesticides that are known to cause cancer. In the last 5 years, the European Union has flagged off 400 agricultural products that contain harmful chemicals. How did it pass the Food Safety Standard Authority of India? Funding for food safety in India is very low compared to that in America. This is a serious problem that needs to be addressed. Moreover, the corruption plays a role. Time to know about the greatest food scam of all time. This scam is so clever that it's fooled millions of people. Nestle has over 150 baby products. 40% of them are sold in Brazil and India. Nestle has almost 2,000 crores profit in India. A recent study says that Cerelac, a popular baby food in India, has a high sugar content. NGOs like Public Eye and the International Baby Food Action Network have tested Cerelac baby food from many countries. The study found that the sugar content in Cerelac baby cereal from Switzerland, Germany, and Europe is relatively lower than the sugar content in Cerelac from African and Asian countries. Consuming of sugar leads to release dopamine, whereas leptin, which warns us to stop eating excess food, will be disabled due to dopamine. This leads to childhood obesity. In Africa, 24% of children under 5 are obese. This is a much higher rate than in Western countries, where strict rules on sugar consumption have been implemented. Nestle says they have reduced the sugar in their products by 30% over the last 5 years. Back in 2015, Nestlé gave 20 crores to Ambulha Cement to dispose of 28,000 tons of Maggi noodles because they contained excess lead. In 2016, Pepsi and Coke were banned in the European Union due to the addition of pesticides. In 2023, the death toll from fake medicines in Africa rose to 5 lakhs. Think this private company is just out for their own profit. They don't care who they hurt as long as they make money. They are taking advantage of the poor. If you love eating shawarma, this is for you. The southern states of India are known for their spicy food, but a recent study found that people in those states are dying from eating shawarma. How is that possible? Let's break it. Once we cut the chicken, we have to heat it above 75 degrees or freeze it within 2 hours. In case the chicken is not preserved properly, bacteria like Salmonella and E. coli can contaminate the food and lead to food poisoning. There are some deadly bacteria like Clostridium, Listeria, and Shigella. Bacteria are usually dyes in stomach HCl, but few bacteria will spread and produce toxins, leads to destroy large cells in the stomach and intestine, which leads to vomiting, diarrhea, dehydration, and organ failure. The meat is marinated at room temperature, which is not ideal. The shawarma is not cooked properly because of the excess population in the restaurant. Effect of eating junk food. Over 1.8 billion people are physically inactive. In the United Arab Emirates and South Asia, a large percentage of the population is physically inactive. In contrast, Oceania has the lowest percentage of people who are physically inactive. According to the World Health Organization, an average adult should get at least 150 minutes of moderate-intensity aerobic activity, such as cycling, or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity aerobic activity, such as running or other sports, each week. Well, I know people say they don't have enough time. The average person spends 35 hours per week on social media. That's a lot of time. We have time to watch exercise videos, but we don't have time to exercise. What a joke. Now, what is good or bad calories? Calories are a unit of energy. An apple and a chocolate bar both have 100 calories. However, the apple has more volume and more micronutrients. The chocolate bar has more fats, carbs, and sugar. So it's not about good or bad calories. It's about the nutrients in the food. In an average 500 grams of chicken biryani, there are 360 calories. In contrast, a 100-gram brownie has 405 calories. Here's a fun fact. Walking 10,000 steps in a day burns only 300 to 400 calories. That's less than the calories in a serving of biryani or a brownie, which are foods that many of us enjoy eating. Think how much calories we are consuming and how much calories we are burning. Many people think that sweating is a sign that you are burning calories. However, sweating is actually the body's way of cooling itself down. The fact is that breathing and fasting are what actually burn fat. When you exercise or engage in any physical activity, your body burns fat to obtain the necessary energy. This process requires a lot of oxygen. When you are hungry and don't eat, your body first consumes the blood sugar to maintain basic life functions. When the glycogen is depleted, the body uses its fat reserves and converts them into energy. This is how fat gets burned. I would like to ask some questions to the policymakers. When Patanjali introduced its Coronil tablets, the Advertising Standards Council of India, the Food Safety Standard, and the Indian Medical Association filed cases against Patanjali. However, that didn't happen in Nestlé's Maggi or Cerelac. Why was there a difference in the way these two cases were handled? Ultra-processed foods like chips are very cheap, and you can get a lot of them for just 5 rupees. However, it's very difficult to find healthy food for that price. How is it possible to provide healthy food at such a low price? According to a report, tobacco usage has decreased since tobacco warning labels were introduced. However, there are still no warning labels on ultra-processed foods. Think about it. You can either use your body or lose it. It takes blood and sweat to stay healthy.